frequent hand.
No one even knew just how bad the problem was. No government agency keeps track. So, DigDeep, along with the U.S. Water Alliance, conducted their own survey. The results? 2 million Americans, 2 million, and probably more, are suffering today with no safe running water or even plumbing in their homes.
There was one finding from the report that is, I think, truly terrifying, and that's that in 6 states and in Puerto Rico, during the time we were studying in the report, those states went backwards in access.
So it got worse.
Yeah, the problem got worse. And I mean, how can that be?
For the past 8 years, Keystone, West Virginia, has been under a boil water advisory. 8 years. It's so common it doesn't even make headlines anymore.
You can run the water sometime, and it's as brown as I am. So you know that it can't be safe. There has to be something in it that shouldn't be.
73-year-old Hattie Avery has lived in this once booming coal mining town all her life.
It breaks my heart, really, to think that we're neglected the way we are. When we've been dedicated, law-abiding, faithful citizens.
So why do you think help hasn't come?
We're the town that time has forgotten, and that's the honest truth. We don't matter enough.
Water is a right, she says, and in the richest country in the world, it shouldn't be denied by geography.
I shouldn't even be driven away from a place that I've loved my whole life. I know it's not a lot here. We don't have anything to offer, but it's home. Yeah.
It's home for Tori Sato, too, who lives in Keystone with her 2-year-old daughter, Iris Rose. Just last month, her water was out for more than a week without any notice.
Last summer, I had to fill up buckets and heat up buckets and then put them in the bathtub and try to like sponge bathe her because I can't have my kid going for 3 weeks without a bath.
Her most reliable source of water is this trickle from an abandoned mine. She collects it every few weeks.
You do ration it though, right?
You definitely ration. We try to hold off taking a bath or flushing the toilet a few times or, every way possible to just save yourself a trip.
The situation is so dire, we watched as people lined up on the roadside to catch water wherever they can. At West Virginia's state capitol, local politicians like Delegate Ed Evans know that water is indeed a problem. But he says there seems to be little political will to fix it.
We should be writing laws that make sure that
monies available to implement water systems all over West Virginia.
But is there a sense of urgency about it?
Unfortunately, no.
But it's pretty urgent for those hit the hardest. Black and Latino Americans are twice as likely as white Americans to live without running water. Take East Arosa, a mostly Latino community surrounded by the fertile orchards of California's Central Valley. To look around, you'd think that water is pretty plentiful. And it is for big agriculture. But in this neighborhood, where most of those who work those fields live, there's no central water main. What there is, however, is a huge irrigation canal that runs right through their backyards.
This is all contracted water. All of this water is spoken for. It essentially belongs to somebody.
Ryan Jensen is a water rights organizer here. He says residents rely on water stored in tanks above 2 underground wells, but both those wells have tested positive for dangerous chemicals.
So nothing in there is really safe to drink.
No, it's not safe water.
See that fire hydrant? That's actually in the next town over. And that is where the water main stops.
So all it would take is 3/4 of a mile of pipeline from this on down to the East Arosa to supply safe drinking water.
That's all it would take.
That's all it would take.
Myra Carrillo lives within walking distance of the end of that water main, so she has to get her water from those contaminated wells.
The communities that this is going on is low-income people that work hard for their money.
It's 5 super window.
And still have to work extra to get clean water.
She has 3 kids, too. She uses expensive bottled water, mostly, for them. And there's never enough.
There you go. Do we deserve to live like this? Are we just pretty much trash or we don't, like... We deserve clean water.
Does that make you angry?
It does. Very upsetting and heartbroken more than anything.
Is there a thread that runs through all these communities as to why this is happening?
These communities are invisible neighbors. The ones that, for whatever reason, their neighbors around them didn't want to see, didn't want to look at, didn't want to acknowledge. But I see that changing.
There are plenty of solutions out there,
It's got a good force.
Yeah, it's got a good flow rate.
Yeah.
including this system of solar panels that miraculously extracts about 1,000 gallons of drinking water every month just from moisture in the air. George, with his DigDeep nonprofit, partnered with a food bank to install it here in the mountains of West Virginia. Why the food bank? Because according to the director, Linda McKinney, for many here, drinking water is in shorter supply than food.
The days of waiting for someone to come and save us, that's not going to happen. We're going to have to help ourselves. And that's what I try to do every day here.
Back on the Navajo Nation, Marcus Morgan and his family just got their first ever faucet inside their home. It's connected just to a simple water tank that DigDeep buried in the front yard. It can be filled up once a month.
Wow. Yeah, but hot water.
For his children, including 2 with Down syndrome, it was a miracle.
I'm lost for words to express my appreciation. You know, all I can say is thank you. A great big thank you.
We went back to Loretta Smith's house, too. Remember? The woman we first met with her sink that was essentially useless? Well, not anymore.
I feel like I'm way out in outer space.
In outer space.
Now I have running water, everything works. It's just like magic happened.
Maybe it wasn't so much magic as it was righting a wrong. Water, like any human right, shouldn't have to be debated.
I'll just hope that I'll be able to see it in my lifetime, where the children who are coming up now won't have to deal with these problems, won't have to face the things that we're facing. We'll see. We'll see.